as soon as I start playing this. Oh shit, look at that. We're live. Here's the intro.
That's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this DGen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
Really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so where you can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crypto degenerates, ducks and squirrels, welcome to episode number 76 of the DGen Roundtable. Is it all over for crypto? The answer is maybe, but we'll find out more later on as we discuss some of the things going on tonight. For those of you guys that don't know, my name is Will Stevenson. I'm one of the hosts here for the DGen Roundtable. I am a traveling iron worker. I hop around the states building and maintaining TV and radio towers. In my free time, I like to talk cryptocurrency to degenerates such as yourself and these fine gentlemen here with me on my panel today. Joining me today, I've got the DGen Roundtable's legal and government analyst, Mr. Zenith. You guys can find Zenith over on Twitter, Instagram, and I guess it's called X now, at Zenith DI. And then also on the panel over here, we have the DGen Roundtable's macroeconomics specialist, Brendan, the anonymous bean. You guys can find him over on X. Gentlemen, what's new and exciting with you? How are you doing, Zenith?
Which felt good, but at the same time, wow, that was a lot of pine needles. It's going to take a couple garbage full of them. But outside of that, though, not much, just keeping up with everything going on, trying to keep an eye on the markets. Unfortunately, I'll explain it as we get into the TA section, but my original theory of breaking above the 20-day moving average as a start of a move towards the upside has unfortunately failed, but we'll get into all that in the TA section. Outside of that, life's good. Brendan, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Zenith. Good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
It's good to chop it up. So before I get into anything, I want to share. So back in 2023, I started writing some crypto haikus. And this was bear market. And so I figured I'd share one of those crypto haikus to kick off the show today. This one is called Conviction. Red candles I bought. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt raged. Green danced in my dreams. So we've been buying red. We're dreaming about green. Is it coming, boys? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. So I may share a few more of those. I wrote a bunch, and I enjoy writing haikus. I don't know. I just find them really entertaining. I don't think cryptocurrency is sort of like what haikus were generally supposed to be written about. So probably somebody in Japan will tell me I'm not even writing a haiku, but I'm following the structure nonetheless. So it's good. Good to be here. Good to talk about this stuff. And yeah, excited to get into it.
I like it, bro. That's a good haiku. Definitely share more of them later on as it becomes appropriate, or just to fucking spice up the show as we go. I fucking like it. So thank you for that. It's good to hear that both you gentlemen are doing fantastic and awesome. Though the prices may be down and the fear and the uncertainty and the doubt might be freely flowing from everyone, I think that we're all going to be okay. We might not be okay in a month. We might not be okay in a year, but we'll probably be okay in 14 years, or maybe perhaps 37 years from now. We'll all be doing just fine. So we just got to survive until that point, and then it'll all be good. I see you came off mute, Brendan. What's up? What you got?
Yeah, no, I just want to say, the sentiment right now, especially within the Richard Hart ecosystem, but many ecosystems, many alts, it's feeling like a bear market. Like that's the fear. That's what people are
Yeah.
feeling like. Is it reality? Is that how people should be feeling? That doesn't matter, right? It reminds me of 2-3 years ago when we were in the bottom of the bear market, just from sentiment, just from people's sentiment alone in the chats. We're seeing less people watch YouTube videos when it comes to crypto, less people wanting to talk about it in our chats and chats in general. So there's this whole social aspect to it too that I'm kind of paying attention to, that I find interesting.
We have I've got the fear and greed index pulled up right now. I'll go ahead and bring that up on screen. But yeah, it's basically saying the same thing. We're down here in the 30s. Life is not looking so great. People aren't interested in buying. It'd be kind of cool to see it go down a little bit further, so that way we can get some of those buy opportunities, like what Agent Jay was saying a little bit ago, talking about all the oh, fiddlesticks. Now I've messed up all the cameras. Hang on,
Hey,
let me see
Will,
if I
Zenith, I
can-
have a question.
There we go. What's up?
What would you say the fear and greed index is just in the Richard Hart ecosystem right now?
Ooh, man, 10.
Below 20 for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Probably
would say
probably
somewhere in there. Yeah.
probably around 10 is accurate.
Yeah.
I wonder if that'd be an interesting thing to post on Twitter. Just be like Richard Hart ecosystem, and just start making up like random numbers based on my thoughts. Not any sort of data from anybody in particular. Just kind of like, oh, this is how I feel today, and just start putting random numbers up and see who agrees with me, who disagrees with me. That might be a fun thing to do. Sentiments at 69,420 at all time, boys. I fucking like to see it. Well, anyways, we would normally do chat shoutouts at this period of the show, but the only one that's done any sort of chat shoutouts is me saying like the smash button, and also me as in the producer chair doing my little test comment. That's all that we got for the chat shoutouts today. But we appreciate all you guys that are watching us live and doing all of that. That's super
Yeah,
cool.
I will say we got the show up late on YouTube tonight, so probably a lot of people haven't even seen that we're streaming yet, or we're ready for it. So there's
I came home just a little bit ago, and then I open up the computer. I'm like, oh shoot, I need to produce tonight. Fiddlesticks. So I like slapped that little thumbnail together, threw the show together as fast as possible. So it's definitely not been scheduled. There's definitely not a whole lot of folks out there that unless they're like our loyal watchers. For those 4 of you that are watching right now, I can see each and every one of you, and I want to say I love you and I appreciate you all. Though I might not know your name and I might not know where you're watching, whether you're on X or you're on YouTube, we appreciate you guys hanging out here with us. And it's pretty good. You know what? I will say, Brendan and Zenith, it's pretty good just talking to you guys. We don't necessarily need the audience. It's a fun time just hanging out with the boys anyways. So it's good times. Zenith, I want to toss it over to you and give you an opportunity to run us through a little bit of the technical analysis, if that's something you're interested in doing. I see you're already off mute. Did you have a thought you wanted to mention before we hop into TA?
Nope. Ready to get into it. Just let me start sharing my screen.
All righty. I've got and by the way, guys, bear with me because I am sitting in the producer chair tonight, and it's something I'm semi-familiar with, but switching all the cameras around and doing all the, ooh, look at that. It did it on its own. Very nice. All right. Go ahead.
Alrighty. Let's not bury the lead. Well, my theory from the last week or two has unfortunately fallen flat. What I was previously talking about is that we had a few daily closes above the 200-day moving average and the 20-day moving average. Unfortunately, we did not get up to test the 50-day moving average, and instead we broke down below on Friday. We broke back down below the 200 and the 20-day moving average. We're still below the 50-day moving average, and if the trend continues, I think in about a week here, the 50 will be below the 200. So there's that. Pretty much, we are looking like we're mirroring the macro markets, because on Friday, big old red candle after 2 more days of red candles on the way down. And the thing that really just put the final hammer on that one was the PCE data that came in on Friday. We will cover that later on in the show, but that was an important macro note. The notable thing from that one is that the core PCE inflation data rose 0.3%. up to 2.8%. It was 2.5 for January. So an increase of that magnitude, yeah, that'll rock the markets a little bit there. But going back over to Bitcoin. So one of the other indicators that I have is the RSI. Our RSI was trending very well, staying above the longer term average, but again, we broke down below it. We're sitting at about 40, 41, 42, but notably, we are at a similar level to back here when we had some lows back in January and December, and then also continued creating a bit of a support level here through February. Even retested it twice here in March on our little run up, but now we were sitting right at that level again. So for me, this is kind of a make or break for RSI, although in my personal opinion, I do believe that RSI is going to continue on the downwards trend based on the overall market sentiment and some of the current events that we have coming up. So speaking of that, you might notice I have my bar here set for April 2nd and another one for April 15th. April 15th is everyone's favorite day, aka tax day. So that should be an interesting day of trading, or maybe a week before it, as people start to maybe shift out of positions, cover some taxes, and do that kind of stuff. As far as April 2nd, that's actually the day when the latest round of Trump tariffs is going to be going into effect. Notably, this is a 25% tariff on China for aluminum and steel, and then this is also reciprocated tariffs with a lot of other countries in the world. However, there has been a little bit of good news, and a handful of other countries, have actually stated that they will be reducing their reciprocal tariffs in an attempt to hopefully stay some of the proposed ones. So that, in my opinion, could be a potentially bearish day. And then tax day before it, I think we're going to see some increased volume, and that could swing it either direction. Outside of that, though, we do still have our cycle high of day 13 over on Monday, the 24th of March. And it's not entirely unreasonable that that could be the cycle high. A day 13 cycle high it's in the well within average, like 1.5 standard deviations. But outside of that, though, when you look to the downside, if we do maintain this as our day 13 cycle high, it means that we're probably going to have a down cycle unless price can somehow recover. There is a potential setup for a move to the upside, which is that we hold some of these critical levels like this 81,000 level here, and then we kind of do one of these. We go, and then we start to see this as a formation of a wave 1. And then after that, we see a wave 3 into a 4 and a 5. So allow me to correct. It's not letting me shift. So something like that. The case for a start of a 5 wave towards the upside is the idea that we have actually finished our correctional waves. So little A, B, C wave is our correction to the downside, and that should be a potential start to an upside there. That is the up case. The down case is that we are actually in a 5 wave correctional to the downside. So kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Although this one, I think time-wise is less likely because this B wave is super, super short, primarily just based off this like 2-day pump then dump. So more realistically, it might be something like this, which is that is our correction. And that would actually fit more in line with what we're seeing as it stands right now, with some of the macro events coming up and some of the sentiment going on in the market as it stands. Dropping much further below the 200-day moving average does seem a little skeptical to me, especially considering we're at this point in the bear market, which is that we're pretty much like 6 months out from what should be the end of the cycle. So at this point in the cycle, in the previous ones, this is where things have usually gone rather parabolic or steadily towards the upside. Granted, there have been things that are such like a 40% correction in the middle of a bull market before it continued on the upside. I believe 2017 was the use case for that one. But as far as that goes, that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin pretty much. Shifting over to Ethereum. Oh, Ethereum, you piece of shit. Ethereum is looking like it's testing the 1700, 1800 level again. And if sentiment continues, there's a decent chance that Ethereum could drop even further, going maybe down towards this 1500 level. It sounds kind of crazy to say, but it's possible. Although at that point, that would have some serious ramifications for the overall market structure in the 4-year cycle as a whole. Outside of that, going over to Solana. Solana is a bit of a star because it was one of the breakouts of this cycle, largely due to the pump.fun craze going on over all of last year, continuing into a bit of this year. But one of the things you'll probably tired of hearing me saying is that Solana has really held this 120 level for a long time, and we're sitting right at it again. So if there is another potential move to the downside, we could see a correction and actually break below this level and move somewhere into our 80 level-ish. That would be another support zone going on there. As far as some of the other coins in the market, looking over at XRP similar to Solana, but on a shorter time frame, which is that ever since they had their massive court wins, they pretty much made a 6x and then have held that price through everything. But yet again, here we are approaching that $2 level. And if there is continuous move to the downside, it's possible that we break down further and maybe move down here to this like $1.65 range. But even then, that would also be breaking through the 200-day moving average for XRP. Looking over at Cardano, similar structure as well. Bit of a run up, corrections, massive pump, then dump, correcting again. And now we're approaching some of these lower support levels. Thankfully for Cardano, it has potentially more support levels here around this like 56, 57, 58 cent area. So stuff like that. AVAX, I'm not too interested in this chart, to be honest. Was there one other one? No, that was pretty much it for the main L1s in the space. Outside of that, there are some altcoins like Sui has been a very popular one this cycle. Bit of a run up in correlation with Bitcoin over the last like 2 weeks, pretty much. But again, looking at more of a downtrend continuing. Something like this has a very strong case for that 5-way, maybe even a 3 or a 5-wave corrective sequence, that we've been talking about. So going from like an A to B and then a C, something like that. Very reasonable based on the structure that I'm looking at here. But outside of that, as the title of the show says, people are asking the question, is it over? Did we short cycle? Did we top too soon? And are we going back down? It's possible, but until the 4-year cycle is confirmed to be broken, I'm going to assume that it's going to continue to hold because it has been very reliable for multiple cycles at this point, and this really would be an anomaly. Yeah, gentlemen, what do you think? Any caveats or differences, opinions that we might have on this one?
I'm not a TA guy, but I am a believer is the wrong word. I am confident that like I don't know what the fuck's going on at pretty much all times. So like we're dealing with past information and projecting it into the future, and that's always going to have some sort of inherent flawed system. It is the best information that we have to work with, but I don't think that it's all going down from here. I think that we're perhaps going to be surprised by whatever happens next, and then at some point things are going to start going up unexpectedly, or well, at least from my perspective, unexpectedly. I'm sure that there's some folks out there that are like, oh, we've reached the resistance levels and like we've flushed out enough of the weak hands, and we're going to be doing we're going to be going back into, oh shoot, there it is.
I have one more screen share for you, Will, on the TA section. Yeah, I got to switch over to the browser though.
Oh shoot, I see it. All right, cool. There we go. Excellent.
So
gotcha.
Zenith, I'll just to answer your question. I don't think I see anything differently than you. I mean, I'm looking at the last couple of days, and honestly, it's looking more and more like we're going to break Bitcoin back down to the 70s. Hopefully, hold that 75K range and then bounce from there. There is a fair chance, in my opinion, that could be kind of a trend reversal as we start to move up and higher and maybe get back to the 100K. We'll see. There's a lot of macroeconomic things that you've already touched on that could affect the market, and we kind of have to take a wait and see approach in the next couple of weeks. But certainly a flush down back in the 70s for Bitcoin is certainly expected.
Sorry, I'm going to take it from here. The 70 range that you're talking about there actually is a common sentiment that I've seen amongst some of the other TA folks out on the web. And in particular, by the way, we do have a tweet that I had pulled up previously from our good friend, Mr. Angry Twinkie, who, by the way, is in the chat. So, Will, if you don't mind pulling up his comment there.
Yeah, I'll pull it on up. So Mr. Twinkie says, I don't think it's over, but the main indicator I'm watching is the 50-week moving average. Once we have multiple consecutive closes below, it's usually headed down to Goblin Town.
Goblin Town is definitely a name for it. Yeah, Mr. Angry Twinkie, he has the 1 week chart looking at here. talking about how if we break through the 80 and the 71K levels, then that is where it gets kind of wild. I did have a chance to talk to one of my crypto rich dads, Miguel, when I was in Vegas recently. He had a bit of a thought when I mentioned that there was the 40% correction in the previous market. Before I even mentioned that to them, though, he independently said, like, look, if it drops below 60K, that's probably a reasonable indicator that the cycle is over. But there's still a good amount of movement to go between now and 60K. As far as what some of the other people in the interwebs are saying, from Cointelegraph, we have the article, How Low Can Bitcoin Go? Bitcoin's price is down 6.5% in 2 days, validating a bear flag, puts Bitcoin price at risk of a deeper correction. So again, they're looking at a lot of the same data that we are, talking about how liquidity is down in key areas. This is a liquidity chart that they have there. You'll notice this green band down here. That is right around that. Yep, that mid 70s area, and then even below that we have that 60s area where people are betting that they might be able to scoop up some limit orders down below.
Well, I see a lot of empty space in between those two, so that's a big fucking droppity drop, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's where there's less liquidity or less support, pretty much just less buy orders. Because remember, this is based off market makers where people they either put in market orders where you buy at the current price, or you set limit orders to create these buy and sell walls effectively. But yeah, exactly what you're saying. Between that low 70 and high 60 range, there's not a whole lot down there. But what these guys are talking about over on Cointelegraph is saying that based on the structure here, it's more akin to that 3-wave corrective sequence that I was talking about in the beginning, which is that instead of thinking that this like quick pump and dump is an actual move, it's actually looking at the overall structure, saying that this is the A wave, this is the B wave, and the C wave is potentially incoming. So again, they're saying that people are targeting the $62,000 level. RSI, they also point to RSI saying that it fell below the midline, reinforcing bearish momentum, which is another thing that I agree with. And yeah, people are looking at lower lows coming up soon. That's 72 to 75,000 range. And then even Peter Brandt, one of their veteran traders, says that Bitcoin is on a path to 65,000. So a lot of interesting takes of the market. There is always the bearish and bullish scenario, as our favorite Agent Jay often likes to talk about. But these are the things that I'm looking at. And sorry, Will, I'm going to pull another quick swap on you real quick.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. I got you, dog.
Boopity boop boop.
Because testing my abilities as Mr. Producer fast on the trigger finger. Go ahead.
Yep. Alrighty, so switching over to our weekly chart, what Mr. Angry Twinkie was talking about in his tweet there, the 50-week moving average. I'm on the weekly chart now, so this blue line, that is the 50-week moving average. We've pretty much stayed above it for this entire bull market, pretty much starting back in March of 2023. Touched it pretty much twice back in July and September. You remember, this is the time that we had a lot of chop or a lot of sideways action for Bitcoin after we made new all-time highs. And then after that, we had everything in November happen. The old Trump pump post-election went all the way up to 107, 109. And yeah, now look, we almost just touched it here. And a break below that would definitely be there would be a lot of losses in the market, a lot of liquidations, a lot of pain, a lot of wailing and moaning, saying that the 4-year cycle has failed us. But again, curious to talk to Twinkie after this and get his take more on the 50-week moving average. 20-week moving average, usually been a pretty good indicator. Drop below it once, drop below it twice, and then a third time when we had that chop, and now we're down below it for a fourth time in this bull market. But yeah, weakness is in the market. Seeing the greed and fear index only at about 32. What was that you had earlier?
Yeah, 32.
That is an interesting sentiment for me. I think largely the reason it's not lower than that is because we are above our previous cycle low here. But going back over to the daily chart real quick, pulling it out to 60 days, that would put us at about May 10th. And then there is an interesting macro point about 3 days before that on May 7th. That is the next FOMC meeting. As it stands right now, there is a very, very slim probability that we're going to get a rate cut in May. There is a potential that that sentiment could quickly change if we start to see more downwards momentum on the market. Because for the people that tuned in last week, you might remember that we said that Jerome Powell is not interested in quantitative easing as it stands right now. He's more on reducing quantitative tightening, and they're still targeting 2 quarter-point cuts this year. Didn't say when, but that is what they're still targeting and what their data shows as well. So that could be an interesting indicator for a potential cycle low. And time-wise, that seems to make sense to me, because if you, again, we'll pull up the corrective wave sequence here. Got our A, our B, and we'll go, what was that, 65? Yeah. That looks pretty normal to me, I gotta say. So, all the stuff that I'm targeting. Gentlemen, am I out over my skis on this one? What are we thinking?
No, I don't think so. Look, I mean, from 107K, what's 40% corrective, right? That's down to the 65 range. So if we think that a 40% could be healthy, still be healthy in a bull market, then we could go down to 65. Honestly, I'm hoping we don't go down that much. I'm really hoping we stay in the 70s personally, because I think it becomes a bit more risky. If it gets below 70, 73, 74, maybe 72, somewhere in that range, 72 to 74. I've been kind of having 74 on my radar personally. And so if it gets below that and then stays below, gets below 70 for a few closes, then yeah, that starts to give me a little bit more pause. Not that we're done, but just that we need to pay more attention. You know, one of the things that's still interesting to me is while the fear and greed index for retail is really low, and again, like you said, it could even go lower. Who's buying? Institutions are still buying. We're still seeing inflows of ETFs. We're still seeing major corporations looking to accumulate Bitcoin. And so all of the big players are buying. And that to me is something that we need to be paying attention to, because retail is usually oft doing the opposite of what, you know, the big men are doing. And oftentimes that's why retail gets dumped on or loses money, because they're not paying attention to what the big players are doing. And so that still gives me a lot of hope that the big players are still buying, that they're not looking to liquidate their positions. In fact, they're looking to add to them. So is this a flush out that they're excited for to buy more low? Certainly, right? So that actually gives me that's actually a bit of confidence for me when I see that.
If you believe the 108 global day M2 offset, May 7th starts a more significant upward momentum. Interesting how those all come into alignment.
I've heard May from a couple people now.
Coincidence could not.
If I had a nickel every time I heard specific dates and specific things,
right,
or like time frames, you know, it's like, God damn, I'd have more money. I have more money listening to crypto like timeline predictors and people like throwing spaghetti at the wall hoping something sticks. It would certainly be nice if May. It would certainly be nice if April. It'd certainly be nice if we got some cool shit here in March. But you know, we are sitting where we're sitting. Zenith, do I have time to run through a quick little round of chat shoutouts?
Absolutely. Just give me 1 sec real quick.
Okay.
So going back to the 50 weekly moving average, looking at our 2017 cycle here, stayed well above for the entirety. Looking at the 2021 cycle, we did dip below it. This is our COVID dip right here. And then after that, we did dip below it. We never really had a weekly close, but we did touch it a few times here between our double top. So, yeah, I think Twinkie has a really good point here, talking about the 50 weekly moving average. Something I'm going to be watching a lot more.
Excellent. And speaking of Mr. Angry Twinkie having a good, let me see if I can get my media assets up in time. Haha! I sort of kind of did it. There we go. There's the cameras all back to normal. Speaking of Mr. Angry Twinkie having a good point, let's go ahead and run through a quick little round of chat motherfucking shoutouts. The best part of the show, our favorite part of the show. The whole part of the show is my favorite part. God bless America. I hit my mute button. I especially like the part of the show where we get to talk to the folks at home. I forgot that I hotkeyed one of my mouse buttons to be the mute. So I'm gonna be careful about that. Let me see if it works. Oh yeah, it does. Look at that. That's so cool. All right, so get my camera back in focus here. There we go. I've seen Sloth do that. And it's time to run through some chat shoutouts. So, Mr. Producer, who is me, why don't you go ahead and pull up some of these chat shoutouts, he said self-referentially. First and foremost, we got what looks like Miss Amber Simon saying hello. Hello, Miss Amber Simon. It is good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Glad that we could have you with us tonight. it's good to see friendly faces here on the DGen Roundtable. Then we've got Mr. Angry Twinkie, been giving us some good feedback on the technical analysis and some of the opinions on the moving averages and the stuff. It's good to see you, Mr. Angry Twinkie, a good friend of ours here on the DGen Roundtable, and just an excellent person, an excellent part of the Hexico community and the crypto community in general. So good to see you, Mr. Angry Twinkie. Next up after that, we've got Large. Let's fucking go. What's up, DGens? What's up with you too, sir? Glad that we could have you with us tonight. As always, I'm loving your Stormtrooper with the blood spattering. I want to say that was from the one of the newer series when like somebody was like got shot and was dying, was like and like fell over one of the main characters and stuff. So it's always good to see you, Large. Welcome to the stream. Glad that we could have you with us here tonight. After Mr. Large, we've got a good real-life friend of mine, Moon-Pilled Rational Optics. What's up, gentlemen? What's up to you, sir? Glad that we could have you tonight. I actually have a drink up here with me, but I wasn't quite ready. Well, we're just going to have to do that later. It's a nice sparkling water. I don't have any alcoholic drinks up here with me, but it's good to see you, Moon-Pilled Rational Optics. Welcome to the stream, broski. Glad that you could be with us here tonight. After that, we've got Broats coming in with a good Bible verse here, the weeping and the gnashing of teeth. There will be wailing and grinding. There will be weeping and gnashing. I know that there's a whole bunch of different translations of that, but it's good to see you, Broats. Welcome to the stream. Mr. Broats does happen to be an angry trash panda with a gun. That looks like a 1911, making sure that the folks at home are are paying attention to the market. And whoever's being sad, then you guys are the ones that he's talking about. So don't be sad. If the prices are down, then it's an opportunity to buy. If the prices are up, it's an opportunity to sell. You are free to hold for as long as you want. You are free to ignore the market for as long as you want. But we don't tolerate no crying here on the DGen Roundtable. Nothing but positivity, nothing but happiness. We celebrate the low prices so we can buy. We celebrate the high prices so we can hold longer or we can sell. But it's good to see you, broski. Next up, we've got Crypto Stylist. Good morning, DGens. Good morning to you too, ma'am. I had a fantastic conversation with Miss Crypto Stylist while we were over in Vegas for the Pulse Chain 369 conference. Absolutely wonderful person. You guys should go check her out. I believe she's on the Hex Asia stream, but I'm not entirely positive. Good morning to you too, though, ma'am. It is good to see you here on the DGen Roundtable stream. And speaking of other lovely ladies, it's good to see here on the DGen Roundtable stream. Man, it's such a fantastic time. We've got Seeking Hexcellence Tam Tam over there on X watching, saying, "What's up, fam? What's up, Tam? Good to see you, ma'am. Glad that we could have you with us here as well." Man, these chat shoutouts are just fucking rolling in. So I don't know what the heck's going on. Our viewer count went way up just now. So good.
By the way, Will, you're going full robot on us. As you say,
okay,
I am.
We've said for a while that Tam Tam is the #1 cheerleader in the crypto space, specifically on Twitter, and I actually got confirmation on that back when we were all in Vegas. I think based on just pure Twitter impressions, she blows everyone else out of the water by like a factor of 5. It's ridiculous, the visibility and the reach that she has. So we appreciate all the fantastic work and all the excellent sentiment that you share in the place that is largely known for negative sentiment, but we appreciate you.
We like positivity, especially in times like these.
Need it.
I will say Tam is a beacon of positivity. Am I still robotic or am I back to normal?
You're back, brother.
You're
back.
Smooth
Excellent.
like the other side of the pillow.
Smooth like the flip side of the pillow. I like it. Excellent. Well, yes, I could definitely confirm that Tam Tam is just as positive in real life. I spent some time. We did a couple meetups up here in Dallas. She's an awesome person. I highly recommend that you guys go check her out on Twitter and go and if you're able to attend one of the meetups that she's at, she's just a super awesome person. So glad that we could have you on the stream tonight, Tam, and keep doing the things that you're doing. You're doing great. Some good visibility for the Pulse Chain space. Next up, we've got Farmer Brown, or Farmer J, otherwise known as Brown. West up, DGens. You're right. The West Coast is the best coast, and I will die on that hill, Brendan. Doesn't matter how cool Miami is. The West Coast is the best coast. You have to ignore the politics. You have to ignore the politics, but
you can't ignore it. You got to put them together.
As far as beauty and as far as nature goes, maybe not surfing. Surfing's better on the East Coast, but I do like the West. The West is the best. So West up, DGens. You're absolutely right, Farmer J.
I can't disagree. Some of my favorite national parks are on the West Coast. and absolutely gorgeous. You got the large mountain ranges, and you got a lot out there. Just from a beauty standpoint, there's almost every national park on the West Coast knocks the East out of the water. The one national park on the East Coast that I love is Acadia National Park in Maine, and that one is very special to me. But outside of Acadia National Park, West Coast is looking strong.
I got a solution, Brendan, for the folks at home and for everybody. Just get a house on both, and then get a house in the Midwest, get a house down in El Salvador, get a house over in Dubai. Just buy houses everywhere, and then we'll all be set.
Well, if the market goes up, maybe.
You make it sound like it's so easy to do, Will.
It is.
Yeah.
Just buy a house. Duh. It's so simple. Just go into debt, buy a house, don't pay off the debt, get the house given to you, squat on it for 20 years, and then boom, it's yours or something. I don't know. Don't listen to me, guys.
That's the long con.
This is not financial advice. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm making it all up as I go here. So all that to say, maybe we'll all end up like Farmer Jay, living underneath the overpasses on the 405 and just having a good time throwing candy and pulse chain stickers at cars and saying, "Hey guys, come join us over here in Hexco." But we got to continue on with the chat shoutouts. Next up, we've got Agent Jay, our very own from the DGen Roundtable, and he says that Twinkie says that we're headed to Goblin Town with consecutive closes below the 50. I believe that's 50 EMA, 50 moving average, or 50
weekly,
something.
the 50 weekly.
WMA. Okay. But according to Crypto Twitter, we're already there. So that's pretty funny, I suppose. I'm not entirely sure what this means. Zenith, can you unpack this for me?
Twinkie is talking about how Goblin Town is only after consecutive 50 weekly closes below that moving average, but Jay is saying that what you were talking about earlier, according to Crypto Twitter, we're already there. The sentiment is in, or they're early anyways, but my personal opinion is that anytime price dips, Crypto Twitter is going to be pretty upset. But
so the sentiment is there, but are the numbers there? Is the buying and the sell? Are we like almost there? Are we close?
Not quite. Approaching it, but not quite.
Okie dokie. And I see you responded that Crypto Twitter is Goblin Town. You're absolutely right about that. Next up in the chat shoutouts, we've got my good friend Josh, Mr. Slide 180, no alcohol. Whack! You're absolutely right, Josh. It is pretty whack. I'm drinking a Texas 1877 mineral water sparkling lime edition. I don't have any alcohol with me here at the house that I'm at, but I did go out for some pupusas and modelos earlier today, so that was quite nice. Shout out to that little pupuseria close to where I'm at up here in Frisco. But yeah, it's good to see you, Josh. Welcome to the stream, broski. I am thinking about you, and I might just come see you. I got to roll over to New Orleans in the near future, and you're kind of on the way, amigo. So I'm gonna head on over and see what I can do. But no promises or nothing. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but if I can make it over there to see you, broski, I'm gonna do that.
As a small shout out to Slide 180 there. I was driving around town and I saw a super clean S14 Sylvia. It was cherry red with a black hood on some nice coilovers as well. I was like, dang, that just looks so good. It's a classic timeless car. It's often referred to as the George Clooney of the JDM market.
I do remember, Zenith, we were talking when I had met you and Mr. Josh would get on just fine. Like you guys are both car enthusiasts, and you guys both like that same sort of stuff. So I would love to get you guys introduced one day. That would be super awesome. But we do got to continue on with the chat shout out. So Josh, it's good to see you, broski, and I'll see what I can do about the no alcohol in the near future. Next up for the chat shout outs, we've got Mr. K Hudson talking about the opportunities, baby. It's all about these fucking opportunities. The prices are down. Oh man, let me pull up I'm gonna pull up a screen share for you guys. I've got some prices just in some of the pulse chain ecosystem that I was looking at. I brought these up I had these pulled up on Microsoft Paint earlier. Let's see if I can minimize that.
Good sir.
Oh, that doesn't help at all. Look at that. Look at all that red though. That's fucking.
Tell you what, Will, why don't you swing it over to me real quick?
Oh, you got it? Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see your screen. Your screen's way better. Oh shit, what was I thinking? Yeah, of course. Before presenting a screen, remove. Oh, I got to remove this one. How do I do that? Apologies, guys. This is my first time. It's not my
It's
first
not
time
your first time.
being Mr. Producer, but like I've not had to do this stuff. Okay, so there we go. There you go, Zenith. Got your screen up. Look at
There
those
you go.
numbers.
The classic
Negative.
Go Pulse on the 24 hours, down 50%, down 10%, 8, 13. We're in the red there. Let's see what the charts over here have to say.
Jay was saying Pulse X just swept the lows
Jesus
in the
Christ.
chat.
Oh my God! Look at Wrapped Pulse.
That is quite the fall off. Let's see how Pulse X is holding up. I think it usually holds up better. Sure does, but yep, we even broke through this 4 zeros and a 15, heading towards a new low there, or a previous low of around that 12 mark. Incentive token, how you doing?
We're at like $1, bro.
Bray.
We're like just a little bit over twice from the bottom, so like that's a stretchity stretch.
Broke through the half cent support level there. That's a rough one for P Hex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep,
it
next
is what
is the
it
bottom.
is.
Bridging more in tonight.
Hey, yeah. So
You
Mr.
read my
K
mind.
Hudson talking about opportunities. That our next fella for chat shoutouts. I like fruits. I fucking love your name, broski. Who's still buying the dips? You better be buying these dips. Like if you have money and you're interested in the pulse chain ecosystem and like you believe in this stuff long term, like we have not seen prices this low for a long time. So imagine like you go to the store. And diamonds have historically been, super nice high prices to buy a nice big old fat diamond or big old gold ring. And then all of a sudden you just start seeing all the diamonds and all the gold jewelry on sale. You're like, oh, fuck, this stuff is 80% off. Like, first thing that goes through your head is like, what's wrong? And in our case, it's just like, man, there's all sorts of people just throwing shit away for X, Y, and Z reason, whatever it is. But like, man, if you really believe in this stuff long term and you want to hold it for a long time, now's a great buying opportunity. At least from a what it was earlier to what it is right now perspective, right? The price is now lower than it used to be. So it might continue to go lower. I'm not entirely sure. Again, none of this is financial advice. I don't know what the future is going to hold, but if we anticipate the price going back to what it used to be, then we can anticipate some better prices and some greener candles and things. So as far as who's still buying the dips, I wish I was actively working and breaking in tons of money so I could be aping like crazy. But I'm kind of on like survival mode right now. So I wish I could buy more of these dips, but I am straight out of cash. This is going great.
Will, I got another one for you.
Oh yeah.
Yes, even the old Rolexes are starting to make that move to the downside there.
Wow, that's interesting. Is this is that Submariner?
Yes, this is the Bluesy, the steel and gold Rolex Submariner. A beautiful watch, if I do say so myself.
It is a pretty watch.
It's a classic. Although to be honest, this is actually my favorite. This is one of the most popular in the world. Just the steel and black dial, black face.
That's a good watch. I don't know much about watches, but I do like.
It's popular, but I don't. You know what's interesting? I don't see people wearing them a lot. Although I say that, and I saw one this week. So
I don't know much about watches, man. I started accidentally becoming a watch person after buying this Liquid Death fucking double axe watch for just because I like the Liquid Death merch stuff. But man, that is a beautiful. Ooh, what is this? That's
even the Pepsi GMTs. Look at that. Man. Greed and fear index on the Rolexes is down. Look at that. Wow.
So Rolexes are down. Pulse chain ecosystem is down. Bitcoin is down. I don't know what the dollary do is right now as far as like the US dollar, but like sentiment certainly reflects the price of Rolex is dropping. So everybody's sad. Everybody's letting go of their assets. If you're a person with spare cash on the side and you want to pick you up a Rolex for what is that, 16% off or something, then like, hey, it might not be a terrible time to do so.
I could find better places to put $10,000 right now.
Yeah, I don't think I would buy a Rolly, but
true.
like, ooh, that golden one was pretty. But anyways, like I don't want to get too caught up on these here things we got chat shots.
Keep it going.
I'm gonna go ahead and remove this and bring us back to this camera setting, which we're supposed to be, and then put back the DGen round. Hey, look at that. That's amazing what a couple boxes around some camera slots like do to change a place. But anyways, what was I doing? I was doing chat shoutouts, and I was recently on I like fruit. So who's still buying the dips? Hopefully everybody who wants to be buying these dips. So if I had the money to buy these dips, I would certainly be doing so. And Farmer J, Hex Tent City's doing real bad these days. New arrivals are at an all-time high. Yes, the space is limited. So hey, if you've got real estate in Hex Tent City, if you're over there in the I don't want to say slums, but like it's kind of like the slab city. If you've got real estate and you're looking to rent, then hey, maybe selling tents, maybe selling homeless people kits would be the way to make some money. Next up, we've got ENJ Dub. Just came back after 3 weeks. Did I miss anything important in the ecosystem? It depends on how you define as important. Some of the things that have happened in the last 3 weeks is PDI has gone to shit because people have finally realized that there's a person who is able to acquire PDI for a very low cost, and then he can sell it for a much higher cost than what he acquired it from by using the using none of the interfaces that exist, but like by just basically running the MakerDAO contract, he is able to get really cheap assets, and then he's able to sell those assets that he acquired for almost for free under specific circumstances, generally in perpetuity. As long as people keep the bids of the token up by buying more of it, then he's able to make more of it, and then he can sell it.
I'm going to give you a small correction there.
Please do,
So
because I'm always looking for it.
The PDI thing is the idea that it's one of the P copies of the stablecoins.
Yep.
There's very little admin controls, but one of the people who do have admin controls to it has the ability to make it for effectively free.
Yep.
And then what they're doing is they're pretty much just dumping it into the liquidity pools, which is dumping a token that they produced for free out of thin air effectively, and then using that to effectively just it's not even that. It's just siphoning value out of the liquidity pools because people had a lot of money in those liquidity pools. And when someone starts dumping a token into it, they pretty much just collect everything out of the other half of it. Because remember, the liquidity pools, it's a seesaw effect. It's a balancing effect. So if you start jacking up the supply of one, it means that you're going to start taking out of the other. So that's what we've seen. And I think we saw over $3 million get sucked out of the Pulse Chain ecosystem, like actually bridged off of Pulse Chain. So that's what was going on.
Yep.
Yeah, and it also because of how much liquidity from PDI is tied to other coins too, that even deepens the pool that he's allowed to, essentially buy, sell more. I should say, make, mint, however you want to say, sell more, because not only you have your PDI liquidity with Pulse or whatever else, but then you have all of these other altcoins within the ecosystem that people have built and then paired to PDI. So the liquidity is like a tree being branched out within the ecosystem, and it's really causing a ton of issues. And it's broken, but yet some people don't want to admit that it's broken, and they keep buying and they keep allowing this to happen. So, in my opinion, it's actually one of the larger reasons that the ecosystem's had a hard time taking off. Because yes, 3 million over how much extra time, but I believe it's even more than that if you look back over the last year. There's many millions.
I think you're entirely correct. By the way, if you want a good visualization of this, go check out Axis Alive's Twitter. He has a good little network node map showing where everything in Pulse Chain is. And then there's a column, a box that is all of the Atropa ecosystem, which is these P copies effectively. And it shows where the flow of money goes. And then for another little tidbit, if you want to see how this correlates to more closely related tokens, go look at the price of Teddy Bear, because Teddy Bear is one of the other Atropa coins. It doesn't have the same protocol, so it has different supply, but because it's so heavily tied to the PDI ecosystem over there, it suffered really heavily over the last few weeks.
Yep. So here is, can you guys see this?
There it is. Thank you.
Yep. So here is the image. I'm gonna click on it and move this screen over so I can still see what's going on in the StreamYard. But yeah, so this is basically like what Zenith is talking about. So let's see. So here is the PDI liquidity web system with all the things that are attached to it. Here is what I'm pretty sure is the Atropa ecosystem, and then the Teddy Bear ecosystem. Unfortunately, the Atropa ecosystem is tied very heavily with PDI, and that liquidity pairing, that bonding mechanism, nobody can pull it out because the keys were they were sent off to a burner address or something like that. So that liquidity pool is stuck, where you would normally be able to be like, let's say someone opened up a shop and they're selling apples and oranges, and they could just be like, all right, I'm closing the shop down. Now nobody can trade apples and oranges in my place anymore. This one's like perpetually open and being ran like ad infinity. So there's a huge amount of apples and oranges being traded, the PDI and the Atropa. They're going back and forth with each other. And so anytime the price of PDI goes down, the price of Atropa goes down as well. So like as the price of the apples become less, the price of the orange become less because they're so heavily bonded in this trading pair. So just a little bit of liquidity lessons in there for you guys. And Richard Hart talks about this a lot. It's called Hart's Law, which is items that are sufficiently thickly paired enough in their liquidity pool will rise and fall with the same as like with each other as the price fluctuates. So you can compare gold to real estate. You can compare like the S&P 500 to fucking what's another thing that's paired super heavily, but like a whole bunch of things that like where there's enough dollar dues backing each of them, and there's enough not backing paired in like a trading system where people can trade back and forth between one to the other. When things are paired sufficiently enough, then they rise and fall similarly in price, not particularly exactly, but that's what this whole chart talks about, and it shows all the other things that that Wrapped Pulse is paired with, and all the things that it's paired with, that are connected to these other liquidity webs. So the unfortunate reality is that this homeboy who has all of this stuff that is paired with PDI, and as the other guy is able to just basically create it for essentially nothing and then dump it, it's dragging down everything else along with it. So that's is there anything you wanted to talk about specifically in this chart, Zenith?
What you muted, Zenith?
Nope, you pretty much nailed it. It's a easier way to visualize it as opposed to trying to create your own Excel spreadsheet effectively. Yeah. This is one of the visual ways to see what's going on with everything.
All right.
Yeah, one thing also to keep in mind is that the dev for Atropa also dumped a ton of those tokens within the ecosystem, and then we found out that that they can mint treasury bills from the Atropa ecosystem pretty much whenever they want, unlimited, and then sell those. So it was like, even though a lot of the money was locked up and burnt, could literally mint treasury bills against what was locked up and sell that. So total scam there too.
Yep. So the long and short question or answer to your question, Mr. Ian J. Dub, is this has been a crippling effect on the Pulse Chain ecosystem, and even Richard Hart has started tweeting about it, making lots of threads
heavily
and things.
Tweeted about it.
So this is something that everyone is talking about from mostly a negative perspective. There's a few streamers out there that try and find different spins that they can put on it, but for the most part, everyone agrees that this is pretty damn bad because the homeboy that's doing all this stuff is taking all this money and he's removing it from the Pulse Chain ecosystem. So any of us here that are within the ecosystem buying and selling all of these assets, all of the value that we have bridged into Pulse Chain to trade and to do these things, a lot of it's getting extracted and sent off chain and gone elsewhere. So that's a big thing that's been happening in the ecosystem. So hopefully that answers your question. Next up for the chat shoutouts, we've got a good real life friend of mine and fellow streamer Crypto Black Sheep saying, "What's good?
Buddy.
What's good, fucking DGen? It's good to
bro.
see you, broski. We're all going back to Hexaco. Shout out to Crypto Black Sheep, streaming every day for I want to say over 5 or 6 years or something crazy like that. Like I want to say he's on like stream number 1600 and 700 billion or something like that. Let me pull up the pulse tube for the 1623 streams in a row every single day. You guys can catch this guy at 4:20 Pacific time PM, 4:20 PM Pacific time. He streams his show, and he does a little bit of TA. He does a little bit of talking about what's going on and just checking in with the folks at home. So Black Sheep, it's good to see you, amigo. We're glad that we could have you in the stream today. This is going to be a good one. Excellent. And then Fruit's updating us, letting us know that he's shopping around, looking on Go Pulse to find out the shark and the dolphin positions. Yeah, guys, if you want to up your sea creature scale, then this would be the time to do it. For the folks at home that don't know what a sea creature scale is, a whale owns 1% of the total supply. A shark owns 0.1. And the dolphin, squid, minnow, turtle, a bunch of other things down from there. It's basically just like saying how much of the particular pie do you own of an entire asset. So if somebody owns like 1% of the entire world, they'd be a world whale. If somebody owns 1% of all the donuts that have ever existed, then they're a dolphin, or then they're a donut whale or something like that. So it's good to see you.
Donuts.
And that finally concludes chat shoutouts. My goodness, we've had a whole bunch of y'all rolling in. So we're glad that we can have each and every one of you here. By the way, if you've not already done so, if you guys want to be a part of the DGen Roundtable Telegram, one thing that you can do is you can scan that little QR code right down there. That little QR code, it's blue and purple and pink, and it says DRT join now. For those of you guys that are only listening, if you type in your URL, your uniform resource locator on your web explorer, if you type in t.me/DRT join now, that will also take you over to our little Telegram where we talk. Agent J does streams doing technical analysis. We hang out on Tuesdays and shoot the shit. It's a good time over there. We talk about memes. We talk about, we organize video game playing sessions. I'm going to be playing some Minecraft later tonight, so that's going to be a good time over there. We do all sorts of things. So if you guys are interested in joining the DGen Roundtable Telegram community, then I'll go ahead and also drop in the comments below. In the live comments right now, I will drop the link for that. So if you guys want to click it, it's just, again, t.me/DRT join now. And a reminder that we stream on the DGen Roundtable every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here where you're watching us right now, both on Twitter and on YouTube. So there's our little shameless plug for you guys before we hop right back on into some of the news that's going on. But that's it right there. That's the link. Hop on over, join us, come see what's good, download Telegram. It's a great system of communication and stuff. But yeah, that's what we got for that. And let's go ahead and hop right on into some of the news articles that we wanted to talk about today. So Zenith, we have this article that you shared with us earlier about President Trump pardoning Arthur Hayes and two of the other BitMEX co-founders, reported to us by CNBC. I could go. Oh, I see you're already pulling up the article to share. So I will go ahead and are you ready for share screen?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Clickety clackety. There it is.
There you go. President Trump pardons Arthur Hayes, BitMEX, and three others, co-founders and employees. So there were 4 folks in total that were convicted previously of violating the Banking Secrecy Act. There you go. This was back in 2020. Pretty much what it was alleging is that without providing KYC, that's what they were doing through MEXC and violating that statute. So President Trump has officially pardoned all 4 of these gentlemen. Hayes faced 2 years of probation. Daylor spent 30 months on probation. Reed 18 months, and then Dwyer got 12 months. It says that they were wrongfully targeted for their activities in the DeFi space. Here we have a quote. This full and unconditional pardon by President Trump is a vindication of the position we have always held, that BitMEX, my co-founders, and I should never been this is the founder, never been charged with criminal offenses through an obscure and antiquated law. As the most successful crypto exchange of its kind, we're wrongfully made to serve it as an example, sacrificed for political reasons, and used to send inconsistent regulatory signals. I'm sincerely grateful to the president for granting this pardon to me and my co-founders. Just said, Mr. Hayes on Twitter just said, thank you. So there you go.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep.
So go ahead.
What do you think about that, Zenith?
I think that this is it's fallout from the Gary Gensler SEC, which is that they were using lawfare and specifically trying to go after bad actors as opposed to creating good regulations. Something we've talked about ad nauseum here, which is that cryptocurrency is kind of shoehorned into old securities laws, or at least it definitely was under the Gary Gensler SEC. This is a great example of that because they're trying to apply effectively crypto exchange or even a DeFi exchange into older securities laws, when in reality, crypto and DeFi is an entirely new thing that has never previously existed. This is a new road that they're trying to explore. And instead of trying to create new laws and regulations for it, they just tried to force it back into the SEC's hands. And as a result, we saw what happens when you have a very, very litigious organization trying to go after people with the law enforcement capability of their organization, as opposed to creating good guidance for people to follow. So if anything, this is just righting wrongs to the previous things that have been happened. And I think this is a great look.
Yeah. It's, again, there's a couple of things that have changed recently, right? First, Tornado Cash being reversed, not illegal for United States users to use anymore. So that's sort of like, hey, it's okay to have transactions that are private, that you don't know. And it's okay for you to work within a DeFi space without necessarily having to give away your identity. Essentially, that's what they got in trouble for, was allowing people to act and to transact without knowing who they were. Look, it's the same thing when I give someone cash. If I pay cash, no one knows that it's me, right? There's no name, or that's how it's been for pretty much the history of society, right? You pay and you get in return. And there isn't something that tracks that. So that's one thing with cryptocurrency, right? We all obviously are all big into cryptocurrency, but the blockchain is open source. And so you can see what happens. And so if you know someone's wallet, you can see everything, every transaction that they make. That's why a mixer is good for some people to be able to transact more privately. Same thing here. It's like, hey, you're only getting in trouble because they were, like you said, being pigeonholed into laws that really didn't fit the space. It's the same thing, and we might pull up another article here in a second about the IRS and the Senate and the House overturning the IRS DeFi broker rule, right? Which was saying, hey, anyone that's in the DeFi space needs to be KYC'd no matter what they are buying or no matter what DeFi, a decentralized finance platform that they're using. And that would have been, first of all, impossible to actually follow through with, because that's the whole point. A lot of these exchanges aren't run by anybody, aren't owned by anybody. It's just code, right? And so again, they're asking code to do something that is really set out for businesses or for, you know, more traditional finance avenues, which in DeFi, as we all know, doesn't make sense at all. So I think that sort of all of these things are coming together, as you said, Z, to sort of have a complete change in what the old SEC's policy was, rather than actually finding good new ways to, you know, implement, I'd say, guardrails around crypto. They were trying to shove crypto into an area where the guardrails didn't fit, didn't work, antiquated, outdated, and we needed something updated to do that. We still do, and I don't think any of us are necessarily against good regulation, you know, proper regulation. But decentralized finance, come on, we want to be able to transact independently and privately. And so I think that a lot of these rules and a lot of these things happen, like these pardons as well, is a complete shift in this administration.
Definitely. As to speak about the administration, this is another data point showing the continued resolve to make sure that DeFi is an actual thing, and specifically crypto is accepted inside of the United States. If we scroll down on the article that we have there, we actually see that this is not a new thing. This is actually another case in something similar. We have from the article here, former Binance CEO Zheng Peng, aka CZ, who pled guilty to the same charges as Hayes, served 4 months in prison last year, making him not only the richest person to ever go to prison in the United States, but also the only person to ever serve jail time for violating the Banking Security Act. He has denied reports that he too is seeking a pardon from President Trump, but CZ admitted in a recent expose that no felon would mind a pardon, especially being the only person in U.S. history who has ever been sentenced to prison for a single Banking Securities Act charge. So again, it's just more data points continuing the trend and showing an actual commitment to supporting crypto and supporting DeFi.
Free Uncle CZ.
Yeah. Well, so I think Z is free right, or CZ is free right now, but like
Yes.
the only person in the history of the United States to ever go to jail for a BSA charge, like can you imagine being the only person that ever went to jail for one particular thing that was really not all that crazy? Like, it seemed to me like a bullying tactic, and this happened. Yeah, a witch hunt, right? Like, my spidey sense is tingling. My tinfoil hat's about to appear out of nowhere, but it's almost like the government or the people in charge, the bankers or whoever the hell, wanted to make an example out of this gentleman, Changpeng Zhao, and his fantastic exchange Binance and his the Binance Smart Chain, right? Like, not only did they make the exchange, but they also made their own blockchain. Like, they did this cool stuff, and the government wanted to shut it down. The working theory from other people that are smarter than me, shout out to them, whoever they might be, is that Like they wanted in the United States, they wanted Binance, which is the world's biggest cryptocurrency exchange. They wanted Binance to kind of move out of the way and make room for Coinbase. Coinbase would be the biggest exchange in the United States. And I don't know if Brian Armstrong had anything to do with this. I don't think that he did, but like, what do I know? I'm just speculating here. But originally it was going to be FTX. FTX was going to be the United States exchange, and then all their chicanery and all their tomfoolery was found out, and they went under. Sam Bankman-Fried went to prison for gambling with other people's money and not being able to pay them back when his whole exchange went down because they were just leveraging everyone's money that they put on the exchange. And all that went down to shit. FTX was going to be the golden boy of cryptocurrency centralized exchanges in the United States. That was what looked like the plan. They fell under. Coinbase is the next biggest thing. Whoever the powers might be are, like, theoretically. Again, this is all just kind of speculation and tinfoil hat stuff. The Coinbase is the next biggest, and Binance is the biggest exchange in the world. So how do we get rid of Binance in the United States? We fucking make a bunch of regulations on stable coins. We put Changpeng Zhao in jail and yada yada yada. Like it just seems like a big giant fucking conspiracy theory to me. And I'm glad to see that, CZ is free now. I'm glad to see that Arthur Hayes and his co-founders of BitMEX, they have been pardoned. Like it's a good step to take a little bit of a step to reverse the direction of all the cryptocurrency policies and the Operation Choke Point 2.0 stuff that was happening under the Biden administration, and is kind of sort of changing now in the in favor of the new world, trying to make the United States more friendly to cryptocurrency development and innovation and stuff, because it does seem to be a very important part of the future of finance is cryptocurrency and things of that nature. And I was actually just recently listening to a podcast. Shout out to Brendan Herrera, the AK guy, if you guys know him. He was talking about Operation Choke Point 1.0, or the original Operation Choke Point, which was about banking cartels and legislation that stopped banks from being able to interact with firearms dealers. And so that was one of the ways that they got a whole bunch of FFLs shut down throughout the United States, is they were criminalizing, or they were not allowing through regulation banks to be able to interact with FFLs, with firearms dealers. And there's this really good podcast that I was watching earlier as well. I posted it in the DRT stream channel. That was by the guys that started and were working with the Old Glory Bank. Shout out to those dudes, because they're working with some of the folks here at 0x Coast for onboarding into Pulse Chain. But they were also talking about like all the stuff with Operation Choke Point 2.0, all the stuff with Choke Point 1.0, all of this like banking problems and regulation could be freed up by simply making the banking more free market and less like what's the word, like when you like push down something with regulation, whatever that word might be, removing that sort of stuff that goes on now up in Washington regarding the banks and stuff, just giving more freedom and removing some regulations from banks and allowing them to work with whatever the customers they want, giving the banks the opportunity to use the free market system and stuff. So anyways, it's a big fucking banking mess, centralized exchanges. I'm glad to see that Trump is reversing the direction, and that's my little rant that I have on this. Do we have any further thoughts on this? Or Brendan, you stole my transition earlier talking about the IRS thing. I have the article pulled up and ready to roll. Zenith, did you have a thought?
Nope. Let's just move over to that one.
All right, let's fucking do it. So pull that one down, pull this one right on up. So look at that. We can do 2 screen shares. Very good. Zenith, if you want to get your next article ready, whatever you have, I'll just swap between yours and mine, and this will work pretty well. But so here we have what Brendan was talking about earlier. The resolution to kill the IRS decentralized finance broker rule heads to Trump's desk. So basically, the long and short of it is that Trump is expected to sign off on a resolution that undoes a rule that requires decentralized finance protocols to report to the United States tax authorities. So basically, like Brendan was saying earlier, KYC and like user transactions. And it's basic, like you guys nailed it on the head earlier when you said decentralized finance is exactly that. It's decentralized. There's not some sort of dude sitting behind the steering wheel that's driving it. It's launched code. It exists on its own. There is no one running it. It's like when you launch a video game using a CD that you have and you put it into your computer. It doesn't have to be plugged into the internet or anything. When you put that CD into the computer, you can run the code on that CD, and then voila, you have access to all the data that's hidden inside there. Same thing with DeFi, except we're dealing with blockchain through like internet usage and stuff. So I'll just go ahead and kind of read this article a little bit. So Trump is expected to sign a resolution overturning a Biden-era rule that requires decentralized finance protocols to report to the IRS, following legislation's passage in the Senate on March 26th. The Senate voted 70 to 28 to pass a motion repealing the so-called IRS DeFi broker rule that aimed to expand existing IRS reporting requirements to cryptocurrency. So it already passed the House. So that's good. It's gone through the House. It's gone through the Senate. It's time to go to Trump's desk, and this is going to be it's pretty cool. Like just how bipartisan this fucking bill was, because like 70 senators, like there's only 100 senators, and we had 74 and 28 against, and I guess 2 abstaining. So like that's some pretty good numbers. So it's good to see that there's a whole bunch of bipartisan co-working here. But anyways, the White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs has said that Trump supports killing the rule. This rule would aim to require DeFi protocol. Okay, so already blah, blah, blah. File gross proceeds from crypto sales and include information on those involved in transactions. Again, it's not possible because DeFi is decentralized. There's no one that has access. Like no one is making all these transactions happening. It's people running the code themselves on their own machines. So critics of the rule have cited that it would lump decentralized platforms with too onerous ones, which would hamper innovation in crypto and DeFi. Blockchain Association Kristen Smith applauded the Senate vote, saying that, yeah, this is some good stuff. So basically, that's the general gist of the rule. And there was a couple people that were against it, talking about how, yeah, it's going to be used for tax evasion and money laundering. You know, just the general crypto excuses, which like I've said it before, I'll say it again. Hey, like if they think that crypto is used for tax evasion and money laundering, wait till they hear about the United States dollar. So fucking they're spinning their own little campfire stories, talking about like, oh, this makes this party or that party able to do, you know, all this tax evasion and stuff. And it's like, bro, you don't get rid of the tool because there's a couple people that try and use it to do bad things. It's the tool is the tool, right? Some people want to hit people in the head with a hammer. Some people want to build beautiful houses. We're not going to outlaw hammers because a couple people go and hit people in the head with them. So anyways, I've been talking enough. Let's hear from you guys.
The 2 quotes at the bottom there regarding the opposition for this motion shows that it's coming from what I would call largely uninformed or people that care about other things and are using this as an issue to drive towards their larger issues. So saying that this makes tax evasion and money laundering so much easier for wealthy Republican donors who have been using these decentralized exchanges. No, everyone can do this equally. I don't see what you're getting at there. And then the last one there saying that this loophole would be exploited by wealthy tax cheats, drug traffickers, and terrorist financiers.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to the previous point. Yep, exactly. Only, what is it, like less than 3% of all nefarious activity globally is uses cryptocurrency as a medium for exchange. It doesn't even hold a candle to the US 20 and the US 50 and the US $100 bills. Those still, by and large, are the number one mechanism for conducting illicit activity, not just in the United States, but globally. So it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. What we're seeing here, though, does fit nicely with the previous story, though. It's showing that this is undoing unnecessary regulation from the previous administration. This is just a more technical way of doing it, which is actually attacking the policy that was being pretty much forced on DeFi exchanges, which is that it violates one of the key tenets of DeFi, which is that you can transact anonymously. When you force them to collect KYC or know your customer information, that violates all of that entirely, because now you are attaching effectively IDs to wallets for transactions in order for the purpose of collecting taxes, but it has add-on effects beyond that, which is that you are now trying to actually pin down people operating anonymously in a trustless space, which for some people they really hate, especially defenders of the current monetary regime and the banking cartels, theoretically. You good, Will?
I'm coming back. Yep. I heard a noise downstairs, and so I was like, just going checking it out. But appears to be nothing. No murderers, no intruders. Everything's clear.
Good.
Can you say again what you were just saying? Yeah, just another red candle dropping boxes and stuff. We've
to tie into what you were saying previously about the Operation Choke Point 1.0 and 2.0. This is all in the same vein, which is that you're just trying to make it harder to do business, which theoretically will discourage people from doing the business in the first place. It's the process is the punishment effectively. They're just using it for a secondary purpose as opposed to the primary purpose of what it's specifically saying.
That was
So what?
it.
Is that
It's
too
just
much?
I've kind of got lost there. I'm also looking through the comments and starring them because I just saw that we had a whole bunch. The TLDR of this article is good news for cryptocurrency. We're looking like we're better off than we were before, right?
Agreed. And it's another data point continuing a trend. It's, if you remember, probably like 6 months ago, we were talking about how we felt like the winds were changing and that we might start to see a course correction. This is more confirmation of that course correction and charting it further into the direction that it's now healthily going.
So we're seeing a course correction as you're talking about Zenith in many places, right? Not just DeFi, just crypto regulation in general. We've seen ETFs come in. We've seen large buyers. We still are seeing suppressed prices, especially in the alts, right? And that's partially coming, as we've talked about on multiple shows here recently, and Jay has talked about in the Telegram, his daily Telegram video, is that there's just not risk on right now, right? There's too much uncertainty and there's too much fear in the market, and interest rates, frankly, are still too high, right? We need Uncle Jerome the metronome, to start dropping rates a bit more. We need to start getting some getting lower, get more risk on, get more money, and we shall see what happens. But all of this bullish news isn't necessarily helping the market yet, right?
Yeah.
You can see changes in the regulatory environment, and the overall market direction and price can operate independently if there are other factors that are larger and have more impact. And I think that's what we're seeing right now, which is that we're having just this continuous row of wins for crypto and DeFi. But because we are largely correlated with the overall markets at this point, the overall markets are dealing with other larger issues going on. So this is it's more of a secondary effect, which is that this stuff will have the ability to pump price for crypto and specifically altcoins independently of what's going on in the market once we get enough action in that area. But as it stands right now, we're even more tied to the overall macro markets this cycle, because we do have the ETFs. We have the Bitcoin ETF, we have the Ethereum ETF, we have a hybrid between those, and we have a handful more coming out hopefully soon.
Can we still tax wash crypto?
I believe so. I believe wash sales
I
are
haven't
still
seen anything
a
change
very
yet.
viable tax harvesting strategy for crypto.
Not financial
So that
advice.
might be something that people think about. If you're down on some coins a lot, you could potentially sell those, buy them right back, and maybe lessen your tax burden. Not financial advice. Talk to your tax professional, but that is a potential way, even when markets are down, if you're holding, to at least get some relief on the tax end for when you hopefully at some point in your life sell when you're actually up.
Now, Brendan, for the folks at home who are not familiar with what a wash sale or a loss harvesting is,
Tax harvest.
if you've been holding an asset for a long time and you bought it higher than what it is right now, if you sell it at a loss, then that loss you can count forwards against your income. So, like, let's say you make $50,000 a year, and you have lost, $40,000 of whatever the hell your particular asset is if you sell it right now, right? So what a lot of people do is they'll have held Bitcoin for like 5, 10, 15 years, or, well, maybe not 15 years, right? But let's say you bought Bitcoin 2 years ago, when it was or that's a bad example because Bitcoin's up from where it was 2 years ago. But let's say you bought whatever the hell asset, you bought a big old chunk of gold 2 years ago, and it was twice the price that it is worth today. You can sell that gold today, and you can take that negative amount of money that you have lost from your purchase, and you can apply it against your income for whatever year this is. You can do up to $3,000 against your income each particular year. And like, go and double check these numbers yourself. I'm kind of just spitting off of the top of my head here, but you can count that negative number against your income up to $3,000 per year on into infinity until you have exhausted that entire amount, whatever it is. So like, let's say you lost $30,000, you could do 10 years in a row of negative $3,000 against whatever against whatever your tax burden is on any particular year. That's a wash sale. That's how a lot of people um oh, and the thing to pay attention to right there is after you sell the asset, you wait a period of time and then you buy it right back. So it's like if you have 1 bar of gold, you bought it for 60,000, you sell it for 30,000, you've lost $30,000, and then you buy that bar of gold right back again for another $30,000. You're still right where you started, but now you have a claimable $30,000 loss on your position. So um
Yeah.
now the next time, yeah, that's the general idea of how it works. Go and check it out yourselves because I didn't do a very good job explaining it, but that's the general idea of washing, right?
Yeah, and for stock market and for a lot of assets, you have, like you said, you have to sell, and then you have to wait X amount of time before you can buy back. With crypto, it doesn't necessarily work that way. It's a bit different because they haven't put any actual real regulation or guardrails into this space. They've literally again been trying to pigeonhole it into an area that doesn't work. So there is an opportunity to tax loss harvest, but again, talk to a financial advisor. It is March. Should have done that in December.
Yep, absolutely. We're a little bit late in the tax time, so make sure you guys are filing your taxes and doing all your stuff like good little
I still got to do
citizens.
that.
Yeah, and
I have like
and
20. I have like 20 transactions. I'm trying to find like my cost on them, and it's really frustrating me. So
it's
working on that.
Yep. There's a couple good systems out there that the folks can use. We're gonna do a quick round of chat shoutouts, and then Zenith will go right on into that GameStop story you got pulled up. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's do some motherfucking chat shoutouts and go through all of your guys' fantastic little things that you have said to us. So, starting with we're going to start with Farmer Jay. We've already shouted him out earlier on the stream, but Richard Hart, this is on the subject of the token we were talking about earlier. Richard Hart did warn everyone that when Pulse launched, other people were going to get you to trade your core coins for shit coins, but we never learned, and we are all going into that token that he's talking about right there. I won't say it. The folks that are watching, you guys know what it is. You can see it. For the folks listening, then there you go. But he's absolutely right. People are going to try and take your valuable assets in exchange for their less valuable assets so they can get more of the valuable ones. So there you go. Next up, speaking of other valuable assets, we got Too Smoky for You, and he's shouting out his favorite token being for life. Good to see you, Too Smoky for You. Welcome to the stream, broski. I'm glad that you like that token, and I'm glad that you are doing it for life. I will not say it because again, I'm playing the Risk Diode game, and I don't know anything about this token other than it's a fun copy of another token that exists. So,
and it may have a potential backdoor issue as well.
And what's great about that one is that it's got admin keys, just like the other token, right? So other people on the Ethereum network, they're able to create this token using X, Y, and Z, whatever that means. They have admin keys. Anything that has admin keys means that other people can do stuff that you don't necessarily have control over if they decide to come on over to Pulse Chain and take advantage of that. So just keep that in mind. It's a cool token. I think it's fun. And I'm not going to say whether I own any of it or I don't. I definitely used to own some of it, but it's a fun one, and I keep my eye on it. So we'll see what goes on with that. But thank you, Too Smoky for You. We appreciate you joining us here today. Next up, we've got Mr. Joseph Smith saying, so if we have rotated into a macro bear market for the next 12 months, what does Pulse Chain do in your opinion? That's a good question. We will address this question, I think, because this is probably, well, I don't know. Do you guys think we could do this quickly, or is this more of a longer question? I'm thinking we can kind of quick.
I can hit it decently quickly.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So even to give you the two scenarios there. So macro bear market, that could be either in reference to crypto market or overall macro market. If we're looking at crypto market, if we shift into a bear market for the next 12 months, well, that would mean that the 4-year cycle is broken and we're going into a full-on bear market, which at that point, that's not good because it means that Pulse Chain failed to make a new all-time high for the cycle, never really had that altcoin season, never really pumped hard. So price would go down heavily, probably somewhere in the range of like 99%, realistically. we're looking at the overall macro market. The overall macro market, when it comes to like S&P 500 global markets, it's possible for those to slide for the next 12 months and still have a crypto season based on the independent factors that pumps crypto. Specifically, we're talking about the 4-year cycle in this case. So it comes down to that pretty much, which is that does the crypto 4-year cycle break? If the crypto 4-year cycle breaks, then yeah, you're going to see a lot of losses all over the place. Altcoins are going to bleed the hardest. New tokens, especially ones like PulseJade, they will especially be hard hit. When it comes to the overall macro markets, though, which is that like if we start moving into a bit of a recession, then theoretically, that could actually be a decent case for overall crypto markets to pump if the Federal Reserve starts to shift its stance on quantitative easing or quantitative tightening. Because remember, right now we're in quantitative tightening still. And quantitative easing kind of is that magic bullet that will really pump markets like crypto. We saw it back in the 2021 cycle, which is that once we had quantitative easing, or AKA money printer go burr, then we see a flood of capital or effectively a devaluing of the dollar. So you can make that argument that there will be a move towards more stable assets or even potentially more risk on assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, other altcoins, and even meme coins. So if the overall global macro market, like S&P 500 stuff, if that does head into a bit of a recession over the next 12 months, it doesn't necessarily mean that the crypto markets are going to dump, especially if the Federal Reserve takes key actions to combat that. And we see the quantitative easing starting, and we see that really start to pump the crypto markets. So there you go. If the 4-year cycle is broken, it's over. Sorry, gang. It's not looking good for anybody. If it's overall recession, tighten the belt, folks. It might be rough for your average day-to-day stuff, including the day job, but it doesn't mean that it's over for crypto.
Brendan, did you have a thought on this? If you don't, I have a quote that I want to read off here.
I think Zenith hit it well enough.
Okay, excellent. I kind of want to describe what Zenith was talking about with the quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. For those of you guys that don't know, there's an effect called the Cantillon effect, which is basically when money enters the market, it doesn't go everywhere equally. So wherever people spend their money first are the places that get the best deals, and then they're able to arbitrage the value of their newly printed money and buy assets before the rest of the market realizes that a whole bunch of money has been printed and all these things go down in price. So like right now, look at the price of a Big Mac compared to the price of a Big Mac 10 years ago. It's like doubled or tripled or some shit. So if you have some freshly printed dollary dues that just came hot off the presses, then you can go and you can buy all these Big Macs and you can sit on them for a long time, and then eventually those dollars will make their way through the circulating money system, and then everybody will have it, and then all of a sudden there's more dollars that are floating around and everyone realizes it, and then the price of the Big Macs go up higher, but you've already bought them because you got those dollary dues first. So basically the first person to buy the Big Macs after the dollars get printed, they're the people that win. And so the Cantillon effect is those who are closest to the money printer system are the ones that experience the wealth the best whenever the quantitative easing starts happening up at the Federal Reserve. So like he was saying, when the Fed is just cranking out money like it's cool, then the people that get that money and spend it first are the ones that win. If you get that money and you sit on it, then you lose. So basically, whenever inflation is going like crazy, the quicker you can get rid of those dollars and get cool assets like those double cheeseburger, like those Big Macs and those cheeseburgers, then the better off that you are. So that's just kind of for the folks at home that don't necessarily understand how the Federal Reserve System works. For you guys that are pretty new to this stuff. So you can look that up. It's from I think it's a French financial dude. But anyways, that's not important. What is important is the rest of these chat shoutouts. So we'll go ahead and hop right on up to the next one. We've got Mr. Swing Trade Pros himself. Yo, what's up, broski? It's good to see you. For those of you guys that don't know, check out his YouTube channel. He does some great technical analysis, and he's oftentimes over there on the DGen Protocols stream as well. And they go again live every day at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So
and he pops into our Whiskey Wednesdays once in a while.
Yes, he does, and he does some great technical analysis. He's a smart dude, self-taught everything, and he does some great TA. So good to see you, Mr. Swing Trade Pros. Welcome to the stream. After that, from X, we've got Hex Donut. talking about regulatory capture. Yes, this was, I believe, in reference to our conversation about the banks and Operation Choke Point and Operation Choke Point 2.0 and how just the regulations are doing all sorts of crazy dumb shit. So shout out to you, Mr. Hex Donut. Glad that we could have you with us here today. Next up for the chat shoutouts, we've got one of my favorites, Mr. Beyond All. What's up, DGens? Good to be back to a sound and balanced stream and streamers. Yes, back to a sound and balanced stream and streamers. I hope that the rest of the folks out there that are streaming are nice and sound and balanced. But judging by his feedback, that does not seem to be the case. We always try and provide an excellent time over here on the DGen Roundtable. Nothing but positivity and stability, and good vibes and good feelings. So glad that we can have you, Mr. Beyond All. Welcome, welcome. Ooh, and another one of my favorites, Mr. Chad Donishfutz, our very good buff ass Pepe astronaut over on the moon. Hello, fellow based crypto bros. Hello to you too, sir, Mr. Chad Donishfutz. Your little icon makes me smile every single time. Glad we could have you with us here today. Welcome, welcome. You are always at home here on the DGen Roundtable. Next up for the chat shoutouts, we've got Luna C. Point. Hey, gang, with the little heart. Or if you're Korean, with the little heart. Or if you're from the olden days, with the little heart. Good to see you, Luna C. Point. Welcome, welcome. That is always fantastic. You always brighten our chats and all the places I see you in the live streams. So glad we could have you with us here. And then from our very own DGen Roundtable, we've got the ascending man, Mr. Nate McGettit, saying, what's good with you too, broski? Welcome, welcome. I hear that you you had posted earlier in the chats that you just got off Mr. Saint
Wolf.
Oh, yeah, Saint Wolf's pub.
His stream.
So glad you could be over there having fun, rocking and rolling, making good impressions everywhere. Good to see you. You guys can check out also the Ascending Man's channel over on YouTube at The Ascending Man, where he posts about all sorts of cool things, does little deep dives, goes and talks to people, does some technical shows and things like that. It's super awesome and fun. So good to see you, Nate. Welcome, welcome. And then we've also got Mr. Just Live, poor tax cheats in the house. We are not.
That was in reference to the article we pulled up, saying that the people not wanting to overturn the DeFi KYC stuff, they're saying, "Oh, those tax cheats, they're gonna get away with it."
Yeah. It's just like, bro, we're not cheating in taxes. We are taking advantage of the laws that exist. I would suggest everyone do that. Instead of cheating on taxes, there's a ton of tax law that tells you how you can avoid paying taxes. And
play the game the best you can.
Exactly. It's a great big game, and the only reason that most people pay a lot of taxes is because they don't understand the tax code and they don't know how they can shelter themselves from their taxes. I actually have a meeting later on with the DeFi Wealth Trust people. I got a meeting with them on April Fool's Day, so I'm gonna be talking to them about how I can tax shelter my winnings if I make a nice big old chunk of change off of my cryptocurrency stuff. So that way I don't have to pay taxes on it until I finally take it out of a wealth building vehicle and turn it into a personal gain or something like that. So no tax cheats in this house, just a bunch of tax enthusiasts, not enthusiasts, just a bunch of tax well-informedness peoples. And that's what we're doing here. We've also got a new one has slipped in past my starring. We've got Crypto Gaffix, a good real life friend of mine and a good friend of the DGen Roundtable. Shout out to, oh my goodness, what a poorly timed burp. Shout out to Crypto Graphics, bringing the Sunday Alpha. Yes, sir, we're here to give you all of the alpha, all the camaraderie, all the friendship and fun and fantasticness that you guys could ever want. Crypto Gaffix,
he's one of the good folks out there spreading the good word about crypto security. I still got the nice little packet he gave me over at the Pulse 369.
Can you show those off real quick without giving away too much of the sauce?
Yeah, for sure. It's just a little crypto card with fun styling, and on the back has some good tenets on how to manage your wallets. So these are perfect for onboarding people, trying to get them a little up to speed quickly. A little cheat sheet of good tidbits about how to store your private keys effectively and safely. So thank you again, good sir. These are great.
They're fantastic. I ordered a couple of them for a giveaway that we did on the show, and I sent them out to some lucky listeners. Shout out to you guys out there that won those. I know that Nate won one. I want to say that Moonpilled won one. There's a bunch of guys that got some cool stuff. So go buy his cards. They're on Amazon. If you look up Pulse Chain onboarding cards on Amazon, I'm sure that you will find them. Or you can check out his Twitter, Crypto Gaffix, or his website, which I believe is also Crypto Gaffix. but I'm not quite positive. I don't have it ready to pull up, bro. Sorry. But yeah, he makes some great onboarding cards, and he is just a boon to the ecosystem. And he's always interested in teaching people how to get into the crypto space, how to go from 0 to 1. So if you want to learn more, check him out over on Twitter. Super cool guy. We interviewed him here on the DGen Roundtable as well. I don't remember which show that was, but if you go into YouTube and you type in DGen Roundtable Cryptographics interview, you'll probably find it. And then all of the links and everything will be in there. And yes, we are more than happy to shout you out, good sir. You're doing great stuff out there. So much love to you, Cryptographics. And that, gentlemen, concludes chat shoutouts. Mr. Zenith, let's go ahead and launch into this next story we got going here. So this is about GameStop to kind of sort of warm up the folks at home. Can you give us the scoop on what's going on here?
Sure thing. So GameStop is polling a Michael Saylor. Title of the article: GameStop just went full crypto and Wall Street is panicking. All right, let's see what's actually going on here.
What are these apes doing?
GameStop just dropped a bombshell investors are reeling from. The company announced it's ditching more of its retail footprint and diving headfirst into Bitcoin, raising $1.3 billion with a B dollars via zero coupon convertible bonds to buy cryptocurrency as a treasury reserve asset. Shares initially surged about 14% on the buzz, but didn't last long. Within 24 hours, it nosedived about 25%. GameStop is a bit of a struggling company, especially as we move further into the modern digital age. You don't really go into the store and buy your games anymore. And even if you do, there are some restrictions on the games that you buy, whether it's day zero updates, where you have to have a key, whether it's a live service and it's just not even supported anymore, that kind of stuff. So if we go over and look at our good old trading view, what we're specifically referring to is this quick up and down right here. That is the announcement of this news. But what is interesting about this article overall is that, again, I said up front, this is GameStop trying to pull a Michael Saylor. They're trying to use cryptocurrency as a reserve asset and shift some of their business focus from actually running the business operations to being a little bit more of an investment idea, which is that using crypto as a reserve asset and hoping that it might pump a little bit could theoretically help stabilize their what has been a less than successful business franchise over the last 4 or 5 years.
Can you so for the folks at home that don't know who Michael Saylor is or what he's doing, he's essentially taking his business strategy. It used to be MicroStrategy, but I believe it's just strategy now. And he is essentially borrowing against the value of his business in order to sell shares that people can buy with a guarantee of a 20% return in like 4 or 6 years or something like that, where they get a guaranteed 20% return on their stock that they can sell back to the company. And what Michael Saylor then does with this money that he raised by selling these brand new stocks is he goes and buys Bitcoin and he fucking sits on it. So every time you hear about Michael Saylor buying more Bitcoin, it's strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, going out there and basically leveraging its worth to get more people to or it's leveraging its future worth to get more people to buy the stock now in exchange for a guaranteed higher dollar price later. It's like what's the word? Bitcoin, its worst performing like 5-year return is 25%. So like if you take 2 points on the Bitcoin chart at any 5-year interval, the worst number that you're ever going to get back is a 25% return. So like even if you bought the top, excuse me, and I might have the timeline wrong. It might be 4 years. It might not be 5. I don't exactly recall. But like they've done the math that like throughout the entire Bitcoin existence, the worst return you get after an X, Y, and Z time period is 25%. So they're promising their stockholders, or they're promising the people that are buying new shares of strategy or MicroStrategy or whatever the fuck it's called, that they're going to get a return in 4 years if they buy this stock. So it's a way to get the traditional finance system to buy a guaranteed stock option that is being financed by Bitcoin. Saylor takes the money or MicroStrategy takes the money that is like all this new capital that's raised up, and he uses it to buy these coins straight off the market and just fucking sit on them, and he holds them. So it's looking like GameStop's doing that as well, and I'm pretty stoked to see how this goes. I know that the apes are the guys that own all the GameStop stuff. That's what got me into cryptocurrency back in the day. But yeah, Brendan, you got a thought on this? I want to hear what you got, and then we'll toss it to Zenith.
What was the number that they're looking to raise money for, or to sell assets to buy? Was it 1 billion, I believe?
Yep, 1.3.
Yeah, so this is just something that we've been saying now for months, maybe even longer than that, that we're going to start seeing other companies, not just MicroStrategy, start to go down this route that Michael Saylor has sort of dubbed, right? And they're kind of taking the exact same approach or seeing how he's, been benefited from it. And look, like Zenith said, they don't need the brick and mortar stores. They might as well close them, get some money and then see how they can reinvest that into their business for long-term success. I will give GameStop credit. At least they're trying to do something different. Look at all the tech companies back in the day that didn't see the writing on the wall as they were literally getting pushed out. Look at Blockbuster, right? Look at all of these companies that saw the writing on the wall with how the markets are changing, how you can now stream movies, how you can download movies, and it's going to a digital space rather than an analog space or a videotape space or a CD space. And they just couldn't get it in their heads that they need to adapt. GameStop's at least adapting, and I'll give them credit. AMC looks to be trying to do the same at times. And it's funny that both of these two companies were the ones that, were on that sort of big jump with the Robinhood and the retail traders. But I don't think they're going to be the last company we see do this. And I think we'll see more companies worldwide do it. I think we're going to start seeing more countries do it. And again, the Bitcoin adoption is just going to continue to increase, and we'll see what happens. Doesn't mean we're not going to have some pullbacks. We're not going to have, bear markets, but overall, I think that we're probably going to get a little bit less volatility in our 4-year cycles moving forward. If more large players start to come in, we haven't even really seen, in my opinion, China come in to the point that they could and will in the future. And so I still think there's a lot of opportunity out there from companies, countries. And look, we still need retail to get in here more. So let's hope that happens at some point, but retail tends to be the last one in. So that's going to be a while.
True. Brendan, I think you nailed it there, talking about why we're talking about this article. Obviously, GameStop and all the other classic meme stocks of pretty much the last 5 years, they're always sensational, but this is another data point showing that businesses, traditional finance, and other large players are finding ways to leverage cryptocurrency as a way to evolve their business strategy effectively. GameStop, like you said, it's been primarily a brick and mortar store that has serviced the business, and I want to say that they actually closed a quarter of their retail retail stores last year. And on top of that, the article cites a 29% decline in sales year over year. So it's showing that people are trying to use cryptocurrency as a way to really kind of move forward into the future with backing, whether it's a business like this, or if you remember an article that we covered probably 4 or 5 months ago, we talked about how the banks have actually finished their first Bitcoin-backed property loans, citing that over the 5-year trend, that if you hold Bitcoin over a 5-year trend, you're like 5th percentile for performance. Your 5th worst performance is like up 3% over that amount of time. So this is another data point showing that people are starting to see cryptocurrency as a viable tool, not just not the entire strategy, not like aping into it fully, but it's something that they can use to help evolve the business strategy and help evolve their business into, whether it's a dying franchise like GameStop, that's a brick and mortar game store that is being shifted away from market practice, or whether it's banks actually starting to use Bitcoin-backed loans to help people buy properties. It's that kind of stuff. It's only showing more and more adoption, which is one of the things that is going to get more people into the market, get more money into the market, and start moving price towards that up into the right direction.
Well said.
Much appreciated. Alrighty, I got one more article I do want to cover real quick. We talked about it previously.
Nice and quick. Yeah.
U.S. inflation, our favorite thing to talk about here, outside of dunking on Gary Gensler, but that train has departed, which is good in a sense. U.S. inflation slightly heats up. Core PCE index rose 2.8% in February. The headline PCE index grew 2.5% on an annual basis during the month, unchanged from the January readings. On a monthly basis, the index grew 0.3% above that at the same pace as in January. So what this is showing is that core PCE, so this is excluding food, energy, and housing, I'm pretty sure, that sort of inflation is starting to head up. We did get some pretty good overall readings over the last few months. The last one in particular was notably good, which was down from the projected 2.9%. Excuse me, to the 2.8%. But this story, the reason we're covering it, is that this is the reason that we had the S&P 500 do this. So if you notice the timing of the articles, that's this big red candle right here. That's Friday. These are not the crypto markets. They're not open 24/7, but this is what we got on Friday, is this news right here. So overall sentiments, we were saying that on our last stream, we were talking about how the data from the Federal Reserve was showing that there is a slight increase in the probability of inflation, according to them, for the rest of the year. And this appears to be a data point supporting that.
I don't really have much to add, but we already knew that there was going to be some bumpiness in the early going of this new administration. I'm curious to see how the tariffs end this week, or how they go, what gets implemented, what gets pulled back, how other countries respond. Z, you touched this at the beginning of the show. I think this week's going to be very interesting from a market standpoint. So keep an eye on that, everybody.
Most definitely. And
we have seen some good news, right? Recently this month, which won't have shown up on the PCE yet. But like, if you look at, I don't know why people love to talk about the price of eggs, probably just because they went up so much. But they actually went down to like overall like $2 a dozen on average, right, around the United States, which is less than December and January, and a fair amount down, which is good.
There you go. So article I do have pulled up here is Trump's trade war pressures crypto markets as the April 2nd tariffs loom. So like we talked about earlier in the show, April 2nd is the day that they're starting to do reciprocal tariffs on a large part of the world. And most notably, China is going to be one of the recipients of this tariff, specifically 25% on steel and aluminum. Additionally, outside of this, Trump did announce that a 25% tariff on all auto manufacturers produced outside of the United States. So a lot of this stuff is shaking the markets right now, and that's why we're seeing a lot of the price action that we got going on. Markets like stability. This is changes in policy somewhat rapidly as well, which means that the volatility is going to be up and stability is going to be down. Therefore, seeing a downtick in price for the overall market makes sense, especially when you consider that the overall market has been running very, very hot over the last decade effectively. The profit to earnings ratios, I think, have gone well over 20-1 at this point, when in reality, a healthier range would be somewhere around that 8-1 to 10-1 area. Only largely tech-heavy companies can really get away with running a super high P/E ratio for a long time. And as it stands right now, this might be a correction that has been long due for a hot minute now. But overall, though, the article continues on. Whales are still accumulating at these low prices, even speculating about, with higher volatility, downwards price. Like a lot of the sentiment that we've seen in our very own chat here tonight, you can look at it as price going down, or you can look at it as a more interesting buying opportunity.
It's a good time to buy when the price is down, baby.
Again, nothing we've said is financial advice. You got to make those decisions on your own.
Speaking of Bitcoin, I have one more haiku to share.
Ooh, let's hear it.
This one is titled "The Beginning." Satoshi envisioned. Bitcoin was born from his code. Dawn of a new age. And for those of you in the chat, our chat, you've probably seen these. I did repost a couple of them today, but I don't know. I'm getting back into writing some more haikus, so haven't written them in a while, but I'm gonna get some more out there.
Excellent. We've got some good haikus. We've got some good market sentiment and some good red candle buying opportunities. I like it. Brendan, do you think you'll ever write a haiku cryptocurrency book collection, publish it on New York Times?
Probably not. Hopefully I don't need to do that. But
need to or want to.
We'll see. We'll see how many haikus I end up writing.
This will be good.
I already told you, someone from Japan, some master haiku artist, is going to tell me That's not haiku. You're supposed to be writing about nature. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, dude. We're gonna do whatever we want here in the United States. You can come at us when you're the first world country and you're not having your own little Japanese carry trades going on over there. I've never heard about a United States carry trade, but I have heard about the Japanese. Now I also don't know anything, so there is that. Speaking of things to pay attention to and to look at, we've got Mr. Funkmaster Hex has joined us, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening to you too, sir. Mr. Funkmaster Hex, the Trailer Park Boys Julian of the Hex and Pulse Chain ecosystem. Good to see you, broski. I love it when you grace us with your presence during our live streams. And on that note, it's time for us to go ahead and wrap this show up. Gentlemen, where can the folks find you, and what are some new and exciting things you got going on in the near future, Mr. Zenith?
Well, you folks, you can find me on X and Instagram at ZenithDI. Like Will started off the show saying, I am a government and legal analyst over here at the DGen Roundtable, so that's largely what I like to post about. And I also engage with a lot of our favorite friends around here, sharing memes and talking about larger market sentiment and analysis going on. Outside of that, though, I do have one final message of hope to close on. So, Mr. Will, if you don't mind, I have one final screen share for the evening.
Ooh, it's is it this one?
It is. So, okay. I know we've been talking about the possibility of the market being over, but one of our favorite indicators, Pi Cycle Top Indicator, we are not even close to over, baby. This is where we have the 111-day moving average cross over the 350-day moving average multiplied by 2. We hit it back in 2021, hit it really hard in 2017, and we have not even come close to it yet. We started approaching it back in 2024, got a little closer in 2025, although the separation was less here. But there you go. We're not even there. And to hammer it home even further, another one that I personally like, the Bitcoin MVRV Z-score. This is a score based on market value and realized value, aka the price of Bitcoin versus what people bought it for. Anytime you go over 5, that's where things get really hot. But we haven't even gone over 3.5. So I'm saying, folks, market top's not in. 4-year cycle is still holding. We can only wait and see what the future has in store. But as far as me, price might be down now. Price might be down over the next 2 months. But overall, the trend, I believe, will continue to hold. All right. Other than that, though, great seeing you, gents. Mr. Brendan, where can the folks find you, and what do you have going on in the near future?
You can find me on X. You can find us in the Telegram. I'm often in our Telegram, which you can join right here from the QR code on the screen. And man, just trying to. I started traveling a lot for work again, so there's that. So some Wednesday streams coming up might be tough, but I do have 2 guests that want to come on the show. And if it's not end of April, May, we'll get a couple guests on, which is good. I have a guest that actually started a VPN service, the most secure VPN, but also a VPN that doesn't require KYC. So all VPNs say they don't use or sell your data, but they generally do. This no KYC. You don't even need to give them your name to buy the VPN, and you can use cryptocurrency. So like the trifecta, which is pretty cool. So we're going to get him on here in the near future. That's exciting. And other than that, I know there's some stuff we didn't even touch on, the Rabby wallet debacle. But for those of you who are worried about Rabby wallet, the internet money wallet is built by the Pulse Chain community for the Pulse Chain community. It's fantastic. And literally you can just keep your coins on there. You can use it and you can earn tokens for free. Like the users get the money, right? It's not the exchanges or the wallet. So I'm a big proponent of internet money wallet. We have had a guest prior. What was that? I don't know, 3-4 months ago, and KG did say he would come on again. So we'll try to figure out what day he can come on this month. But that's hey, just pump and look. It sucks, right? Because Rabby Wallet's integrated with a lot of other change, and so it can get people to come in here. So I would still like Rabby to change what they're saying and come back. But look, if you look at the Pulse Chain community right now and all the infighting and all the Twitter and all people chasing scam coins, man, wouldn't look good to me either. But that being said, keep pushing, keep commenting, and keep asking Rabby to change their decision because they don't need duck chain. I'm sorry. That's all I got.
The internet money team, they are a bunch of studs. And by the way, KG has actually been sparking up some conversation over on Twitter recently, talking about how or pitching the idea that we can build more bridges on Pulse Chain and turn it into a hub for a lot of other chains to go through and be a centralized hub for all of DeFi. So a lot of interesting ideas from that team, and they make a fantastic product, I got to say.
I love it, honestly. And I'm not getting paid to say that. I personally enjoy the wallet.
Yep. Although, KG, if you want to drop a couple quarters all over our way, we would be more than happy to take those quarters and then put them in our gumball machine. So that way we have something to chew on.
I know what you're talking about. That stuff gets spent directly into the DGen protocol lottery tickets.
Yep, there we go.
Scratches, baby.
Protocol.
Scratches.
Shout out to KG. Shout out to everyone. And yeah, so for the folks that didn't catch it before, you can find Brendan over at x.com/theanonymousbean. So there we go. That's all you had, Brendan?
And I'll just say, while we've been on stream, I now have some new DCA money fresh on the Pulse Chain side. So
very nice. Bridging it in. We love to hear it. All right, for the folks at home, time for some housekeeping items for the DGen Roundtable. This coming Wednesday, I'm going to be interviewing Triplet Dad and his steakhouse, his bistro, his what are the other things? Zenith, I know that you've spoken with him before, or maybe it was Nate.
Gosh, he has no, I was there. That was a Discord Syndicate stream that we did with him. He's got some cool stuff going on, and had a chance to hang out with him in Vegas. That is a common theme here on the show tonight. But yeah, he's got a series of protocols that work with pooled hex staking. So if you're interested in that, whether you're doing it for a cause or just doing it for a team, that's what he does. Looking forward to having him on the show. Should be fun.
It's going to be a fun one. So we're doing that this Wednesday. Have you thought about a book for book club on Friday? Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, we're going to do Market Wizards.
Market Wizards. Ooh, excellent. I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to throw that up in the book club Telegram while I'm still thinking about it. So, can you talk about what Market Wizards is real quick whilst I type that in?
Oh gosh, Market Wizards is a compendium of knowledge from longtime traders. I believe they talk about market psychology, managing emotions, and how they have pretty much just made their wins. So looking forward to taking some advice from the old school guys and see if we can apply it to our new school technology.
All right, excellent. I've gone ahead and thrown that in. Oh, it always pins the first comment. I wish it didn't do that. I'm going to unpin it. But I suppose I'll drop the link for the folks at home. If you guys want to be a part of the DGen Roundtable Telegram or the DGen Roundtable Book Club Telegram, this is where we talk about all our notes and all of our everythings that has to do with the books that we read, because we do book club every Friday where Z and I switch, take turns hosting and talking about books that we're reading about for the week or whatever the heck. You guys can head on over to t.me/DGen Book Club. Again, that is t.me/DGen Book Club. I suppose I can bring it up right here. Hey, look at that. Check out DGen Book Club Telegram, t.me/DGen Book Club. So that's it right there. We've covered 55 motherfucking books so far, which is pretty damn crazy if you ask me. That's a lot of content, a lot of learning.
A lot of reading.
Yeah, a lot of reading. I just saw Kay Hudson's. I'm not going to read that. That's a good.
Too low.
Yeah, an internet meme about some Asian pilots from long ago, back when some folks were trolling the newscasters and things. But so we've got that going on Wednesday. We're interviewing Mr. Triplet Dad. We are doing that book on Book Club Friday. And then on Sunday, you guys can catch us doing this very same thing, covering the week's worth of news in cryptocurrency and telling you guys what you've missed out on and what awesome stuff you have to look forward to. For the folks at home who don't know who I am, my name is Will Stevenson. You guys can find all of my socials at will.pls.fyi. It's all linked out of there. That's the decentralized, that's the DeFi version of a link tree. You can find my Twitter. You can find my Facebook. You can find my Instagram. Super duper docs. You can find everything you need to find over there at will.pls.fyi. Super simple URL. I fucking love it. I'm going to keep paying for that for as long as I feel like it. And let's see. I think that's it for the show keeping. And now it's time for me to read the end of show copywriting. So I'm going to do a little bit special. I'm going to read the DGen Roundtable preamble to the DGen Roundtable Constitution. We, the debauched, in pursuit of chaotic and red candle smashing harmony, unite to form a more questionable union and establish strictly unregulated fun to ensure a steady flow of libations and provide for our collective shenanigans, all while promoting the art of bad decision making and securing the blessings of free spirited vibes to ourselves and future party animals. Do hereby establish this glorious podcast aimed at indulgence and excess for all who dare to live recklessly. Will you join us and turn down for what? I want to thank all of you for spending your valuable time with us here on the DGen Roundtable. As Agent J often says, we know that time is your most valuable asset, and we appreciate you spending that important time right here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Stevenson, but more importantly, you have been watching the DGen Roundtable. Mr. Producer, which is me, go ahead and get that trigger finger ready, because it's time to remind all the folks at home to remember to DGen responsibly.